like 2 years ago. Yeah, like 2 years ago I got mugged. Mimi nilienda town, nikazungukwa na vijana, wakaniambia tupatie simu ama tukudunge kisu. Vijana wangapi? Vijana 4. Sasa mimi niko zile za sasa, si simu ndio hii. Hata kisu nataka, hata labda ungeniomba vizuri, ungeniambia please, ningekupatia simu. Kisu ni ya kazi gani? Ni saa 9 asubuhi, 3 in the AM. Where Clive is coming from, heaven knows. Why Clive is coming from that place not alone but with a lady, God knows. Manze wanatembea, wanakutwa na mathegi. Tell me why, same question, tupatie simu ama tuwafanye mbaya? Tell me why msichana ambaye ako na common sense, ambaye ni mtu na heshima zake na akili zake, Jamie anasema simu ndio hii, shikeni. Tell me why kijana wetu barubaru anaona niko na dread, anajiambia guys, I must be Samson. Tell me why Clive anaamua kupambana na vijana. Manze, watu wangu, kijana wetu alikutwa alipigwa, alitandikwa, hujuma, kijana aligongwa. What's up people? Manze, leo kwanza nataka tuanze hivi. Clive ako wapi? Clive, mimi nakwambia uko na mafans.
I didn't know I have until adekura mwenye aliniharas call that you need to talk. And then kitu ya maana. Atikoni what happened to you in the podcast anyway. I am happy. I am loved.
Was it a lady?
Definitely.
Clive, what is it na Clive na ladies? Jusielewi. Wow. Juu hata mimi everyone knows asked me ni ladies. Hey Clive, ladies man. Mimi naambia enyewe one man's meat.
Wow. No comments. Lakini uamke tu asubuhi. Ndio hii mambo unaamka na reggae, jua tunde machana na hizo. Amka na Rose Muhando. Hizo worship. God atafanya maneno yake.
Clive umekuwa wapi bana?
Hey, a lot has happened. I can feel like I've already lived a whole year for these few weeks.
Na wewe ni mzee already.
A lot has happened, but I needed the break kidogo. And yes, I take full responsibility for not being around.
Thank you. So please, it is not our fault.
I realize you need to own up
to
your mistakes.
Yes.
I apologize to wafadhili wetu, but I am back.
Acha niwaambie, one of the things that happened Clive akiwa away. Kijana, let me tell you, God says, I have put before you good and evil, choose good, you know, that you may live and that it may go well with you. Safari is putting before you Clive and Safari. I will tell you why. Like 2 years ago, like 2 years ago, I got mugged. Mimi nilienda town, nikazungukwa na vijana, wakaniambia tupatie simu ama tukudunge kisu. Vijana wangapi? Vijana 4. Sasa mimi niko zile za sasa, si simu ndio hii. Hata kisu nataka, hata labda ungeniomba vizuri, ungeniambia please, ningekupatia simu. Kisu ni ya kazi gani? Shika simu ndio hii. Wachana na mambo ya kisu wewe. Wewe enda, Kuna mwingine anaitwa Clive. Same situation. Kwanza one ni saa 9 asubuhi, 3 in the AM. Where Clive is coming from, heaven knows. Why Clive is coming from that place not alone but with a lady, God knows. Wametoka kazi, amefanyisha msichana kazi hadi usiku. Wanaenda walale saa 9, and then if you know Clive's life, wanaenda walale saa 9 ndio sasa waamke 4 5 iko wajipate hiyo shughuli nyingine. Manze wanatembea, wanakutwa na mathegi. Tell me why, same question, tupatie simu ama tuwafanye mbaya? Tell me why msichana ambaye ako na common sense, ambaye ni mtu na heshima zake na akili zake, Jamie anasema simu ndio hii, shikeni. Tell me why kijana wetu barubaru anaona niko na dread, anajiambia guys I must be Samson. Tell me why Clive anaamua kupambana na vijana. Manze, watu wangu, kijana wetu alikutwa alipigwa, alitandikwa, kijana aligongwa, kijana alipigwa, alafu bado simu ikaenda. So sasa mimi ninashindwa, what is the point? What was the point of... But anyway, at least tulipambana, at least tuligonga wawili watatu.
By defense, so they told us they have a gun. And akitumegrea Islando gun kitu ya kunitishia nayo. Then I think they figured out and tawafanya mbaya. And that's when they decided to beat me up.
So they tell you they have a gun and you demand to see it.
I didn't demand. Okay, I assumed when they said they have a gun, kuna nafaa kuwapea kila kitu. Sasa gun kitu ya kukushtua.
Jome grow Islando.
Yes. And that's where the fight.
Na ulipigwa sasa. Anyway. But I have a theory, guys. Mimi venye ninajua Clive, Clive si mtu wa kupigwa virahisi. Watu wa Islando, Clive safari for a good 4 years alikuwa Islando. Hawa si watu unapiganga kwa urahisi. I have a theory. Nashuku Clive alikuwa amevaa jezi ya Arsenal. Sasa wacha ni explain. Unaona sasa venye Arsenal wanapigwa. Wanatandikwa. Lakini Arsenali manze, Clive. Arsenali, yani wewe upigwe, simu iende, upotee podcast, mama waanze kulia. Arsenali pigwa. Sasa Arsenali, Arsenali unajua Arsenali ni kaa bag. Arsenali kazi ni kutolewa tu kwa vikombe. Kutolewa tu kwa vikombe. Yani
I always like to ask, who hurt Manchester United people?
No.
They are always bitter with us.
Why? No. It is not about bitterness. It is...
Nyinyi mpaka lazima tu scroll page next ndo tuwapate.
Sasa who is bitter now? Sasa bitterness sasa sunaona? Bitterness ndio inajileta. Inajitoa.
Director Mose butu anzisha hii maneno. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to I Am Rebel podcast.
Yes, sir. Mimi niko fiti.
Leo tuko na shoutout.
Of course, shoutouts lazima. So I have kuna mse fulani amekuwa kingoja shoutout for a while. Actually wako kadhaa. But this first one, let me give to one of them. Kuna mse na wapigianga tu story zake every time because he's a young man I grew up with. In fact, you could say that we grew up like brothers. In fact, we did grow up like brothers because in fact we are brothers.
I'm translate Kiluya, guys.
Zile mavituko nimejionea kwa maisha na huyu kijana. Tunafaa tufungue tu segment ya growing up with Obako. From the moment I knew he existed, from the moment tu nilijipata tu ako yani kulikuwa na tu kitu weird atadu each and every day, yani every day. But ni jamaa wa power sana. Anaiti guru. Na manze sasa nini kitambi pia imegrow sana. In fact Obako, because you're watching, nilitumwa na mom. Mama alisema, Obako mama alisema, niongee na wewe manze, ujiangalie. Si ati pesa ikianza kuingia unanona venye unataka. Should have had my mom.
We try winning people and you're stressing them away.
My mom calls me Mark. Mark, siongee na huyu ndugu yako. Siongee na huyu brother yako. Because ameanza kunona, ameanza kutoa kitambi. Hata watu ukiangalia unaweza dhani wewe ndio mdogo. So mother alisema uingie gym. Na uingie gym serious. Na udiet, alisema udiet. So cabbage kwa wingi, kunde. Tuachane na mambo mingi. But anyway, my shout out goes to Obako.
Nice. My shout out goes to
Mwikali.
An awesome lady in terms of communication. track my conversations throughout this year. Au msichana hizi classes zake nitahave kuenda. Anajua kucommunicate vizuri sana. Hadi nashangaa hii kizungu nililearn nikiwa high school inanisaidia wapi?
Ulilearn kizungu high school Clive. Tuambieni ukweli. Unajua ninajua ile shule ulisomea.
Hebu tuanzishe.
Sawa. But thanks Mwikali manzi. Clive has talked really highly about you. Okay.
Take it away Safari.
Alright, sawa. A while ago tulipiga story ya kijana mmoja who killed a giant with a sling and a stone. By the way, kuna series imetoka, Prime wametoa, inaitwa The House of David. Fire. Of course, like every other Christian, it will have some poetic freedom.
Yes,
it will
definitely.
have some nini.
It has to be made interesting for TV.
It has to be made interesting for TV. Yes. But I would say, even the places they have taken like liberty to add to the story, they haven't exactly gone far away from the actual scripture. Okay, wacha niache kuitetea sana. I'm only 3 episodes in. But it
one season or several?
No, ndio imetoka tu juzi. It's only na actually hizo 3 episodes zilitoka the same day. Na zilitoka tu hivi kama nina watch.
I prefer chaisha ndo ni. Sasa kungoja next week tena.
Sasa mimi manzi I don't have that patience unfortunately. Kitu ni kali. It's crazy, but anyway, it's really interesting. House of David. Watu wa Prime najua mnaonanga nini Invincible. Which Prime makes sense by the no. Wacha tusiingililie kabla tunyongwe na watu watudum. Now this young guy would later on go on to become king, and there is a whole magnitude of stories. But after he became king, he would rule for 40 years. After ruling for 40 years, his son would then succeed him. Now alikuwa amepitia na alikuwa na many sons because he had many wives. Men of God wa kitambo walikuwa very interesting creatures. Alikuwa na wives wengi. You know, nikiwa nini fulani somewhere ocha, some kid comes and asks me, "Excuse me teacher, what was the name of David's wife?" And I'm like, sasa mgani? Jamani mgani? Itakuwa aje?
Alikuwa anapita love baya sana.
David Manzi.
Alikuwa huyu anakaa vizuri.
Na
excuse yake ilikuwa
hazi kidogo amengedhi.
Build rapport.
Build rapport. Ndio
for us to be in harmony.
Bro. Husband kidogo amengedhi anakaa hivi. But hizo pia tutapiga dengine. But he would be succeeded by his son, whose name was Solomon. Unaona hizo story zote tumepiga za David na wamama. Weka times 50. Thereabout. The Bible says his son who succeeded him, Solomon, of course he was the wisest na nini. Na tutapiga pia story yake, but he's not the center. But he had 700 wives who were nobles. Like they were princesses. So these were of course for alliance purposes. 700. Mi nashindwa, even you as a dad. Huyu jamaa he has come to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. Na unajua yeye ndio number 267. Na unampeana tu bado. Iweje? Wealth.
Yes. So Solomon was also a wealthy king.
He was very wealthy.
Yes.
He's one of the wealthiest guys in history. Yeah. And archaeological evidence is proving that. But still, number 365.
You are getting a seat at the table. Like your family is getting a seat at the king's table.
It is a 367th seat.
Still a table. No, getting a seat is a big deal.
It doesn't matter.
Hata king hata joko uko mbali.
Tuachane na 700 wives basi. Concubines 300. What were they getting?
Concubines acha tusingililie huko hiyo story.
I honestly don't get. Now ndio Bible ina record.
Yeah, cause kuna wenye did. Okay.
Unacheza. But sasa kama mtu wa Mama Pro Max ndio huyo. Na by the hiyo jina uko na best yote anaitwa Solo. masolo anakuanga anyway, acha tu Solomon acha tusiende deep sana. But Solomon would rule the wisest king Israel ever knew. But Solomon alikuwa na mapaks zake. Actually, reading his story, one of the most interesting things I discovered ni huyu msee alikuwa na like sort of a ministry ya forced labor. I am very serious. Yeah, and he had a guy who was in charge of it. Let me. Adoniram. That was his name. Ni kama like you know, like Hitler. Hitler had a ministry of propaganda.
Yes.
As in it is with funding, with a budget and everything.
A whole office.
And it's a whole ministry. And a minister for propaganda. Solomon alikuwa na forced labor. And this is where the story comes in. Solomon would build the temple. David wanted to build it. But God akamshozi, your son will build it because you have too much blood on your hands. So Solomon ndio akabuild. Solomon took 7 years to build the temple. And it was you read about the details about and how much he spent and what it was. He spent 7 years building the timber he used was very specific. The stones he used were very specific. And there are details. That is a whole other episode. Yeah, because it was magnificent. It was most magnificent. He spent 7 years building it. But he spent 13 years building his palace. In fact, in his palace, julikuwa na like it is like an estate. Let me call it that. Alafu kuna of course kuna nyumba sijui ya nani. Alafu kuna hapa ya entertain guests. Kuna where his throne was, where he would make judgments. One of them, he used so much timber from one type of timber. I have forgotten the name. That hiyo palace hiyo ikaitwa hiyo forest. Ikaitwa hiyo forest ya hiyo nini, the house of this. Anyway, but Solomon, when he was building the temple, he was utilizing a lot of forced labor. Now, whether it is his own people ama it was the Canaanites who they had subdued at that point, because different scholars wanaongelelea different things. But there was a specific guy mwenye kuna jamaa moja alikuwa anajituma. Unajua pia the sad thing about working hard is when you work very hard or when you suggest an idea, wewe ndio unakuwa in charge. Unaambiwa hii sasa ni project yako, run nayo. So kuna kijana alikuwa anajituma sana. And then Solomon put him in charge of the tribes of Joseph. So the tribes of Joseph tulisema wa Ephraim and Manasseh. So akakuwa sasa yeye ndio overseer. So yeye ndio kama amepanda akakuwa foreman. Huyu jamani nashuku alikuwa Mkamba. Unajua kama ndio job. No, Mkamba anaenda kwa mdosi na mwambia boss, iko kitu waya niseme initoke, imekuwa ikinisumbua kwa roho. Huyu jamaa sipendi vile kazi inaendelea hapa, ana snitch. Alafu yeye ndo anakuwa in charge. So I guess this guy was like that. And his name was Jeroboam. Okay. So Jeroboam akakuwa in charge. And Solomon alikuwa na mlava, alikuwa tu msema kazi ilikuwa inaendelea vifiti. Until Solomon, the guy who God had appeared to twice, na God alikuwa amemwambia manze, if you only follow my ways, nitakuweza. But Solomon was a wise guy. And the problem with being wise, I can tell you from experience. The problem with being a wise man. But one of the perks that comes with wisdom is curiosity. And mimi naona gaindo iliangusha mse sana. Because he was very curious. He had wisdom about the stars and the constellations. Karibu niseme constipations. The constellations. He knew about reptiles, about ants. He would study them. He was very curious.
Because I think we always assume it is that one incident
Ile-
that showed he was a wise person.
hapana.
But he was wise because of the knowledge he had
The
gathered.
knowledge.
Yes.
Wisdom always seeks knowledge.
Mhm,
You always want to know things, you
True,
know.
true.
And here we are. Na the more he marries these foreign women, as God alikuwa ameambia ase, na God ni amazing. Anaambia ase, I don't marry guys outside Israel. Why? Because they will lead you astray. They will lead you away from me.
Because people's customs, not their culture.
I mean,
not
you
same.
you intermarry with someone, they become you and you become them. You become one. Solomon asikia tambo hiyo. Kwanza kuna mmoja hapo anaitwa the Queen of Sheba, mwenye tutapiga story yake pia. Alimchanganya mbaya. But so as Solomon interacts with these cultures, they come with their own histories and their own beliefs. And nika sai, the way when we talk about like Vikings, and you know it's an interesting topic because you know their old father was Odin. You know about Thor, about Loki, about Frey and Freya. You know about their gods. When we talk about ancient Greek mythology, you know about Zeus and how Zeus alikuwa na tabia wa mama. Clive alikuwa na he had many demigod sons. Wasa wanashuku ngota Alexander the Great alikuwa. But anyway, tuachane na hiyo mambo. But you see, that is interesting stuff. It's stuff like we read and we. So imagine for Solomon, ako at that point in his life. Na hizi vitu ni live. Si ati unajua sisi tunasema guys believed this that time ago. Solomon anaambiwa
was in need.
He's in it. And this is a
Like
guy.
he's experiencing
His
it
curiosity
and he's
peaked. It peaked. And so as a result, whenever one of his wives would tell him, niaje, our God, juu alikuwa kadhaa, Molech, Ashtoreth, walikuwa two weird ones. I need to worship my God. He would be like, sawa, I'm giving you this hill, raise up a temple for him, or a tower for him, or whatever. And that can be a place where you and your people can go worship. Makosa inaingililia hapo, juu ni dhambi. Because now you're defiling the land, the holy land that God gave you. And you're doing the exact same things that God used you to punish those guys and drive them out. Because walikuwa na hizo tabia. The reasons God akiambia wase go and destroy everything and everyone in those, ni juu ya hizi mastori. Hii story yote iishe without a trace. But now you're doing it, you're introducing it. He grieved God's heart. And at the end of the day, these women, because you know, they have something that we cannot live without. Something lovely. Anakuambianga tu kitu unafanya. Yaani unashtukia tu yes, ndio hiyo. That is the one. And Solomon himself ends up even engaging in these idol worshipping practices. And God is like, enough is enough. I can't do this anymore. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to rip the kingdom away from you. But for the sake of my servant David, I will leave one tribe with you. And it is a tribe that is around Jerusalem, which is the land I have chosen. It is the land I have chosen to put my name there. And that is Jerusalem, Bethlehem, Apple, your area. So, but he tells him, it will not happen in your lifetime. It will happen in your son's lifetime. And this is where mambo gets serious. So Solomon, before even I get to that, so God amemshow hivyo. Now, unakumbuka ule mse wa mjengo, ule mkamba, ule alikuwa na, acha tumite Jeroboam Kilavi. So Jeroboam Kilavi anapenda. Kilavi was just chilling. Jeroboam Kilavi Musioka. Kasioki. Jeroboam Kilavi Kasioki. So Jeroboam siku moja amemaliza job yake ya mjengo, anaenda mtaa. He meets a prophet. And the name of this prophet was, how am I forgetting the name of the prophet? Ahijah. Ahijah ama Ahijah. Lawyers in the house, a very good name to give your child. By the way, lawyer hawezi sema si wasotingi. Na wapeanga majina mzuri za kupatia. I sought lawyers out. So he meets this prophet. Anarudi, I think alikuwa anarudi mtaa. And this prophet takes off his cloak na kaidarua into 12 pieces. Mimi nakwambia maprophets walikuwa na drama. Ama prophets wa siku hizo wako na mbona nini Pastor Nganga akifanyisha sema sit ups. Kaa hivi vizuri wewe. Kaa hivi. Kaa vile. But wachana na huo mzee tu. Me I think he's wachana tu naye. So I rip into 12 pieces. And he tells this guy pick 10. The guy picks 10. And amwambia unaona hivyo. That is how God is going to rip the tribes of Israel from the house of Solomon, the house of David, actually, the house of Solomon. And he's going to give them to you. But he will leave this tribe because he promised David. And for the sake of his servant David that I watch hapo. In fact, that reason it didn't happen in Solomon's life. God told him it was for the sake of my servant David, your father. So this guy picks 10. Na akamwambia hizo 10 and now God is going to give them to you. And as long as you are willing to obey, as long as you're willing to obey everything that God tells you, everything, and follow his ways and follow his decrees, he will make you the ruler of your heart's desires. He will make your house as great as the house of David. I know you're a nobody. I know wewe ni kajamaa tu. Wewe ni but David was also a nobody. Yeah. And God lifted him. Be careful to observe my laws and lead my people properly. I am giving you 10 kingdoms. 10. You will be king. Na umse akaenda mtaa. And after a while, of course, Solomon is king. I'm assuming he's wise, so he knows everything that's going on in his kingdom. He had made Israel so rich. He had made silver as common as, there is a phrase the Bible uses, but silver was so common. Msi akona silver we ulikuwa tu. So gold ndo ilikuwa kidogo kusema, but even gold was common. There was a special gold from a special place, whose name I'm forgetting again. Hiyo ndo ilikuwa kusema. So unachekika hapa venye kuna wase wako na mathao, alafu kuna wase wako na mamita. So wase walikuwa mathao were very common. Mamita ndio sasa zilikuwa sasa like wase wako na mamita sawa nasema. But then even then there were guys who had millions of shillings, but then sasa kuna wase sasa wa dollars. Ushaidil na wase who don't talk in shillings or they talk in dollars. So that's how prosperous and rich Solomon had made that nation. And he was wise. He had spies everywhere. He had soldiers everywhere. The Bible records that guys would just come to Israel to just see his wisdom because his fame spread far and wide. So even the Queen of Sheba would just come to look. Alikuwa amekam tu kuangalia wisdom ya umse and to ask him questions. And when he did answer the questions, she was very impressed. She was very impressed. In fact, I am digressing, but please let me digress. Huyu queen alikam na gifts for Solomon. And there was gold, there was spices, there were very many good things. But akienda tu kwa hiyo court ya nini ya Solomon, Bible inasema akaangalia vile servants wa Solomon wanavaa. Servants, the guys who would attend to him, the ones who were in charge of, akamavel juu ako zile za kama servants wanavaa hivi mseking wao wanakaaje. Solomon was so rich that he had gold in his stables. He had plated them with gold in his nini. Na najua tupige story ya Solomon, tutaipiga day flani. So this guy was wise. So eventually he would know. Na unajua pia true prophets are not scared.
Yes,
true prophets husema tu it's from God. So obviously he eventually learned what had happened and that Jeroboam was going to become king. And so he tried to kill Jeroboam. But Jeroboam fled to Egypt. But did Solomon stop there? No, he did not. Tutaendelea na story in the next episode. yes sir.